Anybody else have this little tune, this little ditty stuck in their heads this morning? Start spreading the news. New York City is doomed. I never want to be the doom and gloom guy, but honestly, this is one of those stories with their recent election. I know it's just a primary, but what it means is the guy's going to be mayor. Basically, that's what this boils down to. With New York City electing a self-described socialist, some would say communist, anti-Semitic. He's had citizenship for 7 years. He changes accents. He wants to basically decriminalize crime, and yet people are going to tell you New York City's not doomed. But here's the other thing, and here's my message to you today with the little live stream. It's how you take advantage of it, because things are going to change. And if you're thinking, well, that doesn't affect me. Oh, no, yes, it does. And it directly affects you if you're like me and you're a transplant to one of the Sunshine States, Arizona, Florida, whatever it is, where people are going to. Because I'm telling you, the population is changing. We got a little test run of this. We got a little Whitman sampler test of this during COVID. We saw it in the Southeast from the Northeasterners moving down here, buying homes, sight unseen, waiving inspections just to get the hell out of that. We saw a little bit of that. That was the test run. Times are different. The population is moving and changing. Here's the question is what I want to leave you with today. How can you take advantage of it? The news is what it is. It's just you can't control that. What you and I can control is how you can handle that, deal with it. More so, take it a step further. Empower yourself and take advantage of it. And there are ways. Anyway, we'll get to that whole story soon. And also, fake news overtime. Did we destroy the nuclear sites or not? I think it comes down to this. It's a matter of who you believe. Unnamed source that CNN and the New York Times teamed up together on, or Trump and the military officials saying that they're completely destroyed. It's a choice, but we'll give you both. Anyway, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Thanks for finding the Wicked Radio live stream. All part of Wicked Wisdom with Bill Adams on the social media channels. And also don't forget about this, the audio podcast, the version that you can listen to later on. Always available wherever you get your podcast, whatever platform you like to get those on. So usually posted about, within 10, 15 minutes after we get off the live stream. So, and make sure if you're watching this later on the replay or listening later on, make sure you follow and share along and put notifications on so that you know that when we're on. Let's get right down to it. The New York mayoral primary happened last night. If you're in another part of the country, you're thinking, I don't care. Let them fall apart. Okay, I totally get that sentiment. I understand. I get it. I don't live there either. But it does affect you, and it does affect me, and it affects everybody. There are 8 million people plus in New York City, and a lot of them are going to leave. You may be thinking, Bill, that's a little bit drastic, isn't it? Is it? Because it's of particular importance where I happen to live in Florida now, because I saw it. And if you're in Arizona or Texas, you saw what California went through, right? And it's weird. This is one of those themes this week. There's always some sort of a theme that runs through the news daily. Every single week, it's a different one. This one seems to be, you don't like where you are, where things are going. All the signs are there. Now you have the ability to move. And you're thinking, it's not that easy. Yeah, but people are doing it. And it may be happening anyway. So here's what we know about this guy. So it's the New York City Democratic mayoral primary last night, which basically means that's who's going to be mayor. Because I think it's, was it Bloomberg? Who was the last? Anyway, whoever wins the Democratic primary, most likely, the betting odds are that's going to be New York City mayor later on in the big election. Let's talk about Zohran Mamdani. Been a citizen for 7 years. He is Muslim. He is a self-described socialist. Most of the political insiders and the people that actually get paid for a living to talk about this stuff say he's an avowed, absolute, complete, total communist. Some of his policies, one of the recent ones, one of the latest ones that he said right before the election, the primary election was, he wants government-controlled grocery stores for price fixing to be able to do that. So they would be all government-controlled. There's one thing. He's very much in favor of cash bail, so that means if you thought the crime was bad in New York City right now, it's about to get 10 times worse. Decriminalization for prostitution, pot crimes as well, which is pretty much happening there. If you've been in New York City recently, it smells like a giant pot cloud, like skunk weed. That's basically where it is right now. And he's not afraid of causing a ruckus, let's put it that way. A couple of months ago, and it was funny, I was in New York. Remember, I was going through that whole thing with my daughter's surgery. I was in New York when this happened. Tom Homan came to New York City talking about the immigration situation and deportation. And Zorhan, the future mayor of New York City, started the protest to get in his face and talk about it. Sounds great. Sounds just absolutely awesome. Here's Tom Homan and ICE trying to clean up, get the actual criminals off the streets of Manhattan, and he's protesting it. Okay. Now, he's been called an anti-Semite by many, many people, mostly the Jewish community, a lot of people in the media as well. Is that true? Well, there are past statements that actually would lead to that. And then somebody in a New York City, a lot of these media interviews came from New York City media itself, leading up to the primary election here. And one of them asked him if Benjamin Netanyahu had come to town. Now, the town we're talking about is New York City. It houses the UN, okay? International business, international affairs. This interviewer, which is a great question, asked the Mamdani character, if Netanyahu had come to Manhattan, had come to New York City, how would he be welcomed? Well, according to this guy, he'd be in handcuffs.
And Mayor Mamdani, would you welcome Prime Minister Netanyahu to New York City for whatever he comes for, given the US is not a signatory to the ICC, so he can travel to the US, unlike a lot of other countries? Would a Mayor Mamdani welcome Benjamin Netanyahu to the city?
No. As mayor, New York City would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. This is a city that our values are in line with international law.
Right. Now, that's not going to happen, obviously, but that's what he's thinking. He said it in an interview, like actually ran on this. No, we'd arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. We'd oppress the Prime Minister of Israel. Again, the city that has the UN and international business. Okay, whatever. That's one thing. All right, that's another thing. Here's what, this is what, I don't know, this just bothers me as a communicator. Here's what I think is the most egregious aspect of this guy's character. And good for whatever, this is from a couple of months ago, good for whatever reporter discovered this. Now, the guy is, I think he tried a rap career or something, and then he became a state representative and, you know, a community organizer, whatever the hell that is. Well, so there's a lot of media on this Mamdani character, right? There's a lot of past interviews. I don't know who asked him this question, but they put together a piece on his fake accents. Like I said, this is... Not being a New York City resident, I look at this from afar and I say, that might be the most egregious thing at all. You can't trust anybody that puts on a different accent according to who they're speaking to, right? We saw that with Kamala. We see it with AOC all the time. This was a great question from a local news agency talking about his fake accents, and they actually played some.
Subject of trust, you've adopted different speaking accents in different scenarios.
But they go to their local bodega.
Is there one that's real and one that's affected?
What I would say is, as any immigrant knows, having been born in Kampala, Uganda, and then raised in South Africa and moving here when I'm 7 years old, is there are different parts of my life.
Worldwide tour is a worldwide tour is a worldwide tour.
Mamdani was talking.
That was him. You heard his Americanized political accent. You heard his, I think he was trying to take on like an Indian bodega accent, and then at the end was his Arabic American accent, whatever. I don't trust people like that. I just don't. But New York City's voters do. Now, here's the part I want to get to, why it affects all of us, no matter where you live in the country. It just does. Because like I said in the introduction, the country's population is moving. It's changing. It's shifting. It just happens every once in a while. It happens every 100 years or so in our country, in every country. And things like this are causing the population shift again. We got a little bit of a sample. We got a little taste of that in COVID. People got out of the blue cities, the lockdown states, the ones that clamped down on your freedom, and they went to Arizona, Texas, Utah even. Florida for sure. I can speak to that personally. I saw it. I saw it directly. All the New Yorkers that came here, buying houses. This is the God's honest truth. I'm not lying to you. No fingers crossed here. They were buying houses where I am in South Florida, double over asking price, waiving inspections, waiving anything else, and just buying houses sight unseen to get out of New York and buy homes here. Sure, attrition is a thing. Some of them went back, obviously, but it happened, and it showed that little taste of it, that little Whitman sampler of people moving out of blue areas, blue states, and blue cities, showed that it can be done and it will be done. After this, there will be an exodus. There's no doubt. 2 days ago, the guy that said it that knows better than anybody is ironically Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who said, get ready for Florida because your housing prices are going to go through the roof because of people escaping New York City. And you know what? I've lived through this, still living through it now. He is exactly 100% correct.
If this socialist mayor candidate wins in New York City, you're going to see real estate values skyrocket even more in Palm Beach because people are going to get out of that city. As bad as de Blasio was, this guy is like going to be way, way worse. He doesn't think that you should have law enforcement in dangerous parts of the city, that you should send in social workers.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's another thing on the crime aspect. I think we pretty much laid out the argument of why this guy is a disaster, and they voted for him anyway. But there you go. But let's take it a step beyond. It is what it is. You and I and everybody else listening and watching, we can't control all of the news that happens. My whole mission, the real reason why I do this is to talk about the news. Okay, reframe it, change your mindset. Now take advantage of it and what's happening. Read the tea leaves, the societal changes. Read how people are reacting, and take advantage of it. So what can you and I and everybody else do now to take advantage of this situation? If you have the means, and you do, well, first of all, if you're in that area, I would get out. I just would. I mean, honestly, I said this 2 days ago about Los Angeles and the tea leaves there about how they're handling the situation on everything for the past few months. About immigration, the fires, everything. Just get out. I just would. I would get out of New York, too. But if that's not you, how else can you take advantage of this? You're just somebody that lives in the middle of Ohio somewhere. Well, where are the investments going to? Where are the good investments now that we know for a fact, proven, we've seen it, that this is happening? Florida, Arizona, Texas, other states, middle of the country, Montana. These are where the investments are. So if you were to invest in housing, let's just say, don't take my investment advice, I'm just throwing this out as an example. If you were to invest in housing or condos or anything else like that you would like to rent out or potentially flip down the road, you think that'd be a good investment with massive portions of the country moving to these areas? Yeah, I think so. But the key is understanding exactly where we are in that stuff and taking advantage of it. Because trust me when I tell you, the population is moving. It's just, I laughed out loud when DeSantis said specifically Palm Beach County. It's like, live in it. That's what it is. But as long as you're aware of that, you can win. All right, this is the other thing. We'll wrap up with this because I got to get out of here a little bit early today. Programming note, I'm getting a new roof, so it's going to sound like World War III itself, like in here pretty soon. So I got to cut this out before this actually happens. But another big part of the news yesterday was, the fight back and forth, the fake news media. The rare team up. CNN and New York Times coming together for a story yesterday. So you know that that's fake news. Well, they wanted to say, and they wanted to disparage that the bombing mission in Iran to take out the nuke sites didn't work. It only set him back a little bit. Didn't work. Problem was it was from an unnamed source and a low-level leak, apparently. Completely debunked by the administration. But it comes down to who you believe, right? Well, here's the CNN report.
Based on a battle damage assessment that was carried out by U.S. Central Command, essentially looking at the images and looking at what was actually damaged, the Defense Intelligence Agency has assessed that the core components of Iran's nuclear program are largely intact and that Iran's nuclear program has essentially only been set back by months.
The main reporter they had on the scene was the main reporter that broke the story that the Hunter laptop wasn't real. Keep that in mind. Also, the unnamed source that it came from is apparently a low-level intelligence person. I don't mean maybe stupid. I don't know. But I mean from low-level in the intelligence community. Okay, take that into effect. Trump, of course, responded to this directly, as did the White House with an official statement. But here's what he said.
So CNN fake news going, well, maybe it wasn't a perfect hit. It was perfect. They said maybe it did destroy it. We agree it did destroy it, but maybe it could have destroyed it more. No, it couldn't have destroyed it more. Everyone hit, and it's very disrespectful to those great geniuses and patriots that flew those planes.
Yeah, that's a point too. It kind of puts down their effort, which was absolutely incredible, no matter how you look at this either way. So this comes down to a choice. What do you trust? Is CNN teaming up with the New York Times trustworthy, or would you take it from the White House with intelligence officials who actually will report on this and report on the damage? It's a choice. All right, I got to get out of here. I'm out of material. I got to see how my new roof is coming along. You might hear that noise here over the next couple of days, so let's talk about it. All right, the takeaway: can't control what happens in different areas, different cities of the country where you don't live, but you can take advantage of the after effects, and you know the population is shifting. Investment opportunity. Look at this kind of stuff as an opportunity. You have to. That's all you can do, and you can win, as depressing as it is to see that kind of stuff. And the other one is believe what you believe. All the information's out there now when it comes to international affairs. Unnamed sources or what's coming from the White House. It's a choice. More importantly, don't take any crap from anybody. It's Wednesday already. Have a wicked awesome Wednesday. Thanks for finding the live stream. If you're watching this later on or on the audio podcast as well, make sure on the audio podcast you download, and on the social media channels for Wicked Wisdom with Bill Adams, follow, share, put your notifications on so you know when we're coming up live and other things coming up here. So tomorrow's Friday, Junior, all kinds of stuff to talk about. Who knows what it'll be, but we'll talk to you then.